we are live. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, fellas, if you're watching this right now, I need to alert you on the best props of the night. I've got props over on PrizePicks as well, but I just saw these by talking to Cody Main on Twitter, and then he notified me of a prop. I found a prop that he ended up taking. And what's going on, everybody? I'll introduce everything in a second, but if you are playing props tonight, let me get the prop that I ended up just taking over on. I just posted it, so here you go. This one. This one right here. So Ramondre Stevenson under 42.5 rushing yards and Quez Watkins under 31.5 receiving yards. Here's the deal. Watkins only ran 12 routes last week and is becoming more important as he's getting the wide receiver 3 role apparently soon. He only had that 89-yard screen play, right? So he only ran 12 routes. Stevenson had 10 attempts, but they want to get Sony Michel more involved, and he had a 90-plus yard rushing touchdown, which skewed his yardage. Before that, he only had like 9 carries for 30 yards. His prop is up to 42.5 rushing yards. People keep betting the over because of one play last week. They say, oh my God, he had 120 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Not knowing that before that, he had 9 carries for a sub-average day, a subpar day of 30-something yards. And the Quez Watkins all happened on one screen pass that he ended up taking 89 yards to the house because he's fast as fuck, and that stuff just happens. I don't believe that that's going to happen again, especially for a guy who probably plays at most a quarter tonight, like literally 2 drives, like might only see 1 target again. I feel pretty good that it doesn't go for a 32-plus yard reception like last week. So I just want to let you guys know that because I ended up putting a post over on Twitter. I put it in our Discord for our patrons, so those numbers are probably going to change. I'll put the link to that actually as well. I'll put the link to that in the chat. How y'all doing? Let me put the link to that right there in the chat if you want to follow that. That should take you there, I think. Let me click on it. Yeah, that takes you there. So that takes you to follow that prop if you indeed wish to take it. So it's a weird link, but it works. Don't worry. It's nothing. It's no malware or whatever the hell they call it. Bud Thompson earlier in the chat says, I'm not going to lie. Knowing Sal was going live today was the highlight of my day. I'm not afraid to admit it. Hey, shout out to you. It's been the highlight of my day as well. Well, not the highlight of my day, but one of the highlights of my day. I've had multiple highlights today. It's a good day overall. Chilling in the waiting room for Sal and some Dollarooskies. Hey, we live right now. Hey, we're live right now. How y'all doing? I appreciate y'all being in here right now. Get any questions? And I see people are watching live. What do we got in the live chat right now? We got about 100 people watching live. If you're currently live, if you're currently watching this right now, I don't know if people got the notification or not, but take a second of your time and get any of the questions that you might have in here. I'm going to share this live link with the Twitter followers right now. Christian Wilkerson is at 5.5 points on PrizePicks. I'm leaning toward the under now. Thoughts? It's a no bet for me. I luckily was able to get the Wilkinson over at 3.5, so I feel really good about having that over 3.5. The under 5.5 is just not a bet for me because I do like the over 3.5, but I don't know by how much I like the over. I mean, I think about 5 fantasy points makes sense for as a projection off the top of the head off the dome piece today, but it's not something that I would bet at 5.5. A lot of those PrizePicks props are good for tomorrow. Like tomorrow's 2-game slate, start getting those now. Honestly, I took a couple earlier. The video will be coming out later today. But yeah, the ones for tonight, a lot of them are already kind of not terrible. Like let me pull up the ones I just got on PrizePicks so you can get these most recent numbers. Like I just took the Huntley under 19.5 because it came out. He might not even play tonight, and if he doesn't, you just get this one refunded, this prop. Not the whole prop, just that one bet in here. But he's banged up. He got hurt, so he might be limited. Jalen Hurts, I took under 7.2 fantasy points. Obviously can crush us on the ground, but I'm basically trying to hope he doesn't have a passing touchdown here. He can have 110 passing yards and he can have 20 rushing yards and I'm still safe. And Ramondre Stevenson, I took him under 42.5 over on Underdog, which is a fantastic prop. The under 36.5 I still think is fantastic. Like I think Stevenson today rushes 7 times for about 28 yards, right? And I don't care if he scores a touchdown because it's not the fantasy points here that I have the under on, it's his overall yardage. I also recently put in for fantasy points under Quez Watkins because I don't think I have the under 31.5 receiving yards, meaning that I like the under 4.2 points as well. I have the over on J.J. Taylor, which is the only over that recently I took for fantasy points that I think looks good. 5.4 is a lot. I think that he was obviously massively involved in the receiving game, running over 17 routes last week for this team. I think it's going to happen again. They do want to get Sony Michel more involved. I don't think James White's involved. I don't think Harris is involved. I think Taylor has a pretty strong lock hold on the second half of the second quarter / third-ish quarter run to begin with. And Kendrick Bourne under 3.9 yards. Kendrick Bourne was actually used last week, so let me actually pull up here in the game notes. You can get these on Patreon. Kendrick Bourne, he played a decent chunk, 27% of the snaps. He played 11 routes, saw 2 targets, but he's an underneath route guy. Even if he sees 2 targets, again, 2 catches for, let's just call it 20 yards, that would barely beat it for you, right? You would lose that for 4 points. But if you have a Kendrick Bourne day of 2 catches and 14 yards. I mean, his average depth of target is not that high. I feel good about that. So those are some more recent props I just took. I'm going to post this link right now over on Twitter. Bada bing, bada bang. Let me just grab the thumbnail for this bad boy. There we go. Cool. Mac, Hurts, or Taylor. Sorry, bro. What's up, Sal? Where are the OGs at, though? Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you as well. You an OG right there. Cody. Appreciate you up in the chat. Cool. Alrighty. Top captains for tonight, either the defenses or maybe like N'Keal Harry, Christian Wilkerson. Like the quarterbacks are going to look good. Mac Jones will get run. We already saw him play 50% of the snaps, I believe. Let's see his exact snap total from that last game. So Mac Jones, I think it was like 50%, 49.4 if I remember. 55.9% of the snaps Mac Jones. Last time, Hurts didn't play that much. I'm projecting Hurts for about a quarter yet again today, maybe a little bit more. 2 to 4 drives in this game get you about a half or 1 to 1.5 quarters. So I do like Mac Jones more. But in terms of just which captains usually win these showdown slates for preseason, it's either defenses that are lower owned, but for the majority of the time, it's going to be the wide receivers. So I think that N'Keal Harry and Christian Wilkerson ran a lot of routes. I think that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside continues to be a guy that, he's really boom or bust. 1 target for nothing last week. But he's going to run a lot of routes. Again, like he's next 2 preseason games, 22 snaps last week, a team-high 14 routes run, only 1 target, big fast receiver down the sideline. I mean, if this guy has 2 catches, 25 yards and a touchdown, and he's in your captain spot, I don't think a lot of people are going to be owning him. So if you're looking for wide receiver captains, I think that Arcega-Whiteside, N'Keal Harry, and Wilkerson make some sense there. There's other guys as well. You can see them in my rankings. The tiers are up on Patreon. If you are not a Patreon member, you don't have access to the Discord or the tiers or the 6 pages of game-by-game notes or one game today, so game notes today. You can check it out. You might have Wilkerson too high. I don't know. I don't think so. Based on last week's usage, I don't think so. Now they have another guy out tonight, so you're going to be having a player out in Trey Nix, who played 8.5% of the snaps last week. I know it's a little, but it's not nothing. Wilkerson last week led the team with 32 snaps. He ran 21 routes, 54.2% of the snaps. He was basically right there with N'Keal Harry. He saw 8 targets. Now, I'm not expecting 8 targets. I know it's a lot of underneath routes, but those are high conversion routes. And I took the over-under on 3.5 fantasy points for Christian Wilkerson. So 3.5 fantasy points is literally basically 2 receptions for the most part, right? So he had a team-high 3 slot targets out of his 8, so he was used in lots of different parts of the field. He played a ton of snaps in general. I mean, now that you don't have any Trey Nix out there, Marvin Hall is basically going to be playing special teams. I don't think you see a lot of Nelson Aguilar. He will apparently play this week. But for the most part, you're going to get a quarter out of Jacoby Myers, a quarter out of Kendrick Bourne, and then after that, the rest of the game is basically going to be N'Keal Harry's and Gunners and Wilkerson, because all they have left in the roster is Isaiah Zuber and Devin Ross. So those 5 receivers are going to rotate in for 3 quarters today. Nelson Aguilar to an extent, but I think he'll play the first quarter. So 5 receivers are going to rotate through for 3 quarters. You also have to keep in mind that there's no tight ends for the Patriots today. I mean, Matt LaCosse is not expected to play. Jonnu Smith not expected to play. Hunter Henry out. All they have left is Devin Asiasi. So no tight ends. They're going to run a lot of 4 wide receiver and 3 wide receiver sets. Yeah, these receivers for the Patriots, N'Keal Harry, Wilkerson. I mean, even a dark throw on 13 snaps last week, 4 routes run, Devin Ross is interesting. I don't like him really at all, but those types of things when there's only going to be really 5 receivers out there for most of the game. What's up, Sal? Great show as always. Favorite back for DK tonight? They worth captaining. The running backs are always worth captaining. The Eagles backfield, we have to see what happens with Jason Hunley. Kenny Gainwell looks good. J.J. Taylor, Stevenson, these guys look solid. Sal was the GOAT during the NBA season. Helped me ship so many times. James, I appreciate that. Happy that you won some Dollaruskis. Happy Thursday. Mama Vetri is in the chat. Shout out my mama. I need Ohio to pass the gambling bill. So apparently, I'm not in North Carolina anymore, but apparently North Carolina today voted to legalize sports betting, literally a couple months after I leave. Sal the GOAT, what's going on? Yo, my man, what's up? Hey, what's poppin', people? What's poppin'? Hello, I wanted to say what great content you have. I appreciate that, Michael Baker. I wanted to know for week 1, regular season, who Tre'Davious White on Buffalo will cover it and what Tre'Davious White of Kansas City will cover. Thank you. Yeah, my man, Michael, I will let you know week 1. I have not looked at week 1 regular season. I'm really deep in the 10 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday for preseason, all the season-long stuff. So week 1, I did the first look video, but that's all I did. I opened up the salaries, I looked through it, and I gave my thoughts on that video like 2 weeks ago. But other than that, I'm not going to be looking at week 1 for another 2 weeks probably. So I will let you know then for sure. There will be content every single day during week 1 for sure. Just found your channel. Did really well last week, so I'm signing up today, says Matt Crush. Hey, Matt Crush, happy to hear that. Yeah, we did well all around last week. From player props to DFS, personally profiting around $5,000 Ruskis. That doesn't always happen, so it's not like, hey, you come into Sal's channel, this guy's saying he wins this much money every time, I bet I'm going to win it. No, it was just a really good week, right? Player props alone, we ended up profiting across multiple sites close to $3,000 and about $2,000 in DFS. And that's from not just Thursday night, all the weekend. So I'll take that for a week of all the work that we put into it. So it was pretty solid. So I got a ton of DK money because I tried to buy an NFT and failed. I need you. Yeah, man. All I have is the CryptoPunk. I bought the CryptoPunk like 4 months ago. That's all I got. How much do starters play tonight? I'm expecting the starters to play about a quarter for each team. I would not be shocked to see a quarter and a half. Depends on how long the drives are. If you see a long drive in the first quarter for one of the teams, you probably get a quarter. If there are a couple of 3 and outs here and there, you probably get a quarter and a half. So I'm expecting 2 to 4 drives for the starters on both of these squads tonight, which can result in some nice plays in 2 to 4 drives. I think we settle on 3 drives for the most part, but that can result in some really nice plays. Any updates on what you like on Prize Picks? Thanks, boss man. I assume, David, you were in here when I just showed all the updates on Prize Picks. On Underdog, I got a lot in play right now from a prop standpoint for the showdown slate, as we've had for many of these slates. Feeling pretty confident about these overall prop markets. We got about 165 people up in here. Any questions you got, get them in there. Unless it's like, hey, what are your top 5 plays in order tonight? You can get that over on Patreon on the tiers. Other than that, though, happy to talk about these players' usage rates. Happy to talk about what I expect from their playing times. Any props that I have in, all aboard, all that type of stuff. 2 games tomorrow, 10 on Saturday. Already have all the notes for them. The video for tomorrow is already recorded. It's uploaded, but it is not live. I have it set to release tomorrow morning. Best time of the day, let's get it. Best bet for most targets for the Philadelphia today. My best bet for the most targeted player from Philadelphia today, I'll go with Kenny Gainwell. I think it might just be like a 4-target game, but I'll go with Kenny Gainwell today. They lost Tyree Jackson. He broke his back, so the tight ends are pretty useless to be playing there. I believe that you ended up seeing Caleb Wilson was released. He signed with the Washington football team in the division, so I don't really have many tight ends left. Like Richard Rodgers should see decent playing time today, but on a showdown slate, I'm not trying to play a tight end. In terms of highest targets, I think it's going to be Kenny Gainwell. I think he just plays the most. Like if Kenny Gainwell is going to play 20-plus snaps today, he has a really good chance to be targeted 4 times. I know Jalen Reagor and Greg Ward and Travis Fulgham. All these guys last week played 17 or more snaps. Greg Ward played 21 snaps last week, no targets on 16 routes run. Like that's going to change. So I'm not shocked to see Greg Ward see 3 targets today. They're probably out of the slot, but it's not terrible. Is there news on how much starters are going to play? Probably about a quarter. My dude Sal, one of the question 10 secs of stream for me. Favorite captain for tonight, JJ or Neil? Arcega-Whiteside or N'Keal Harry? JJ will be lower owned, but I'll take N'Keal Harry. If you're saying JJ or Arcega-Whiteside, I'm not sure which one you mean. Loving Gainwell for tonight. I feel like he needs to prove something. He needs to prove something. It's not only that, but he's like the only running back that they really have. They're not going to run Sanders much. They're not going to run Boston Scott much. They care too much about those 2 players. They cut Kerryon Johnson. Jason Huntley's banged up. And then the only other guy on the roster behind Kenny Gainwell, their 5th-round pick, who has some explosion and upside from Memphis, is Jordan Howard, who's an older, dustier player who I do think sees some playing time, but not, I mean, maybe he runs in a touchdown, but for the most part, I don't think he has high usage or high efficiency, and we haven't really seen that in 2 to 2.5 years out of Jordan Howard. Is Wilkerson with the first team tonight? I would not expect Wilkerson to be with the first team. I'm not shocked to see him take first team snaps, though. Like Wilkerson last week played 32 snaps, 54.2% of them. So if he sees 3 to 4 first team snaps because he's still in the, or they're still in the game in the second quarter and he comes in, sure. But I'm not expecting him to see first team snaps. I'm expecting Nelson Aguilar, who's expected to play, Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne to start the game out, and then N'Keal Harry to see basically 4 wide receiver sets with the starters, and then play for the most part the rest of the game. So a team high 36 snaps last week, 61% of the snaps, and ran 23 routes, only 1 target. But again, if we're just going to use 1 week of a sample size and just assume that continues to happen, we know we don't do that. Sal, does Asiasi play and catch any passes today? So Devin Asiasi, he's an interesting guy. He's like their only tight end, so he might legitimately play 100% of the snaps if Matt LaCosse doesn't suit up. So there's a narrative to say that Devin Asiasi could see a 4-target game on a showdown slate, a 4-target game for a tight end who will see red zone usage. He'll be on the field a lot, play action passes, easy receptions here and there. Ended up going to UCLA, if you don't recall. Last year, he only saw 7 targets, but really didn't play that much. Did have a touchdown, but during his time at UC LA, he was a little bit more of a pass catcher his final year. He finally played a full 12-game season as a senior. He was 22, so he's a little older now. But he had a 44-catch season on 70 targets, a 16.4% target share. So Devin Asiasi is definitely a tight end who can catch the ball. We didn't get to see it last year. Their draft pick from last year, him and Dalton Keene, another tight end who I believe is on IR, Dalton Keene. So, yeah, I think that Devin Asiasi is definitely in play today. If you have Patreon, you can see him in the tiers. Sal, Mac or JJ? Can you guys let me know which JJ you're talking about, Taylor or Arcega-Whiteside? There's 2 JJs on this slate. You giving any significant run for Hurts tonight? Yeah, I'm giving him about 2 to 4 drives, which is definitely keeps him in play. You playing a defense in one lineup? If so, who do you prefer? The defenses are the best plays on the slate. Sal's the king. No, you're the king. What about Quinn Norton? Quinn Norton is the kicker that is going to take all the kicks tonight, so yes. Join us on Patreon. Thanks, Sal, later. Printfest, no BS. Yeah, it's been a fantastic time. The Discord has been jumping since the preseason started. I mean, we got my man up in the Discord. Like P-Maj is in there, but then also a Sal 1533, which I think I don't know if his name's actually Sal as well, but yeah, always up in there. I heard Wilkerson kept dropping balls in joint practices. That means absolutely nothing to me. I mean, Wilkerson last week had 8 targets, and he brought in almost every single catch that was within his range. They're down wide receiver bodies. I don't think his 2 drops in a joint practice is going to make them say, you know what, let's not put him out there in the preseason week 2 game. No issue. Sal, do you think Sony Michel gets a goal line TD? No idea. I think Sony Michel is going to play a decent amount in this game. He'll play about probably a quarter to a quarter and a half. He played 22% of the snaps last week, so about a quarter. They said they want to play him more run. I'm expecting 27% to 28% of the snaps for Sony Michel. That should probably lead. That led to last week 5 routes, no targets, and 6 carries. Probably about 7 to 8 touches for Sony Michel today. So it just depends if you think the offense gets down there. What's up, Sal? First time tuning in. Do you got a free month trial? I do not have a free month trial. I would consider doing something like that, but Patreon, the service that I use to host my platform, does not have any types of free month trials or anything like that, unfortunately. Mac Hurts or Taylor? Sorry, bro. Mac Hurts or Taylor? It depends on the lineup that you have if you're playing showdowns. It depends on the lineup that you have. Like, do you already have other running backs in the lineup? Who's your captain? Is it a defense? Like, in terms of how you want to try and shoot, how much upside do you want to go for? I'm leaning towards Aaron Rodgers across the board tonight. Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers across the board is a very strong and sharp play. I think that if you're going Aaron Rodgers across the board tonight, you're probably having a really, really good time overall. You're in a really good spot. We got about 200 people watching live. Yeah, any questions? I mean, we're set. We're locked in. We're locked and loaded today. We know everything that we possibly can about every player playing tonight. We're trying to project that forward. We got a bunch of props in. I think currently in the prop market, I've got about 500 in play tonight, and then separate money into DFS. Is it a bad idea to captain Mac Jones in a cash game on DK? I mean, it's a safe call because, like, if you want to, so quarterbacks in the captain and cash are safe. The problem is I don't play any cash games, let alone showdown. Like, playing cash on a showdown slate is brutal. I mean, it's such a variant slate, so it's not a bad idea to put Mac Jones there. In general, like cash games, you want to play safer. So if you put a wide receiver in the captain spot, especially in preseason, like JJ Arcega-Whiteside last week, they can just drop a 0 on you. So there is a downside for that. I think that defenses and quarterbacks for showdown cash are probably your best captain options. The highest upside, especially for tournaments, is definitely wide receivers because, like you saw last week with Quez Watkins, they can have an 80-plus yard touchdown, and those come more often than the Ramondre Stevenson 90-yard touchdowns that you saw last week. Hey, Sal, do we think Asiasi gets a target? Yeah, I think he probably gets a target tonight. Harry or Wilkerson? It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. I have an exact difference on them in the Patreon tiers, but those guys are very similar tonight. I expect to see similar usage out of both of them. Harry has more downfield upside, so it's more boom or bust. Wilkerson's a little bit more stable. Three prize picks, solid picks. I don't know what the fuck you're saying there. Yeah, I showed all the prize picks earlier. This is the most recent ones, so these are the best numbers. This is the best number. These are the best prize picks in general. I took them yesterday, but you're not going to get them anymore. Over Wilkerson 3.3. I don't like the Huntley over 4.7, so this one's probably going to lose, and I'm only going to win 4 out of 3 here. But Kenneth Gainwell over 4.6 because Huntley's banged up. So this one will probably be a 3 out of 4 hit because the news came out that he missed practice again, so that's a concern. But yeah, these ones I took a little bit earlier today. The under on Watkins, on Bourne. I feel really good about this one. The best prop on the day today is the one that I showed from Underdog earlier today. Under 42.5 rushing yards for Ramondre Stevenson and under 31.5 receiving yards for Quez Watkins. I mean, I don't want to say that that's a lot because they both had 89-plus yard plays last week, but I feel very, very good about that one. I mean, literally just those 2 plays that they both had, which are you don't ever see. They're probably never going to have yet again. Neither of them in their careers might not ever have a 90-yard touchdown play again, right? In preseason or whatever it might be. So this is loading right now. But, yeah. Yeah, I feel really good about this because if you take away both of those 89-yard plays from last week, they don't even come close, either of them. I mean, you have 0, basically 10 yards less than that for Quez Watkins, and you have like 30 yards for Stevenson. And now they want to play more Sony Michel, and Watkins is more important. I don't know why this won't load, sadly. I'll let it load in the background. But yeah, if you do want to play on prize picks, you know what? I would tail this one right here, the under Huntley rushing yards, the under Hurts fantasy points, and the under Stevenson rushing yards. If you want to tail it, you can use the link down below. It's just it's over under props. Use the code SAL and you'll get a free bet up to $100. You're the man, Sal. That was funny. Somebody said that was funny. What was funny? Oh, here we go. Wait, did it load? It loaded, but it didn't give me my slip. Let me find my slip from my my Pick'em lives right now. Let me get these up. There we go. Cool. So this will work now. Here we go. So this is 200 to win 600. So here you go. This is the one that I have 200 right here, 2 picks to win 600. So it's 200 to win 600. That's the prop. That's my favorite prop on the entire night. And this one is located on Underdog. I can put the link to it in the chat. Also, if you want, I mean, I feel like I'm plugging everything. I'm not trying to, but if you actually just want a free $25, you could use the code SAL over there. I'm not trying to plug everything, but I might as well mention it since you do get some free bets. But that's my favorite prop tonight. Is Quez Watkins in play? He's in play. He's in my tiers, but I'm much lower on him than what the market's going to be. Quez Watkins is going to be massively overowned today. So is Ramondre Stevenson. Why? Because people are going to look at the game logs and say, oh my God, Stevenson, 10 carries, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week, thinking that somebody's really going to average 12.5 yards per carry, who was not a good draft prospect coming out, who had a 90-plus yard touchdown last week. So yes, I'm very low on Stevenson compared to the market today. Quez Watkins, who I think is fantastic, but he's basically a starter right now. Quez Watkins is the wide receiver 3/4 in this team. He's pushing for the wide receiver 3 job. He ran 12 routes last week. He's not going to run that many routes this week. He'll probably run 10 to 12 at most because he's actually important to this team. And now the other starters did run like 15 routes. Like Rager ran 17 last week, so maybe they do run a little bit more routes. Either way, though, 31.5 receiving yards for a preseason game is a lot. What defense would you pick? Both of them. They're both great options. Sal, you're taking both QBs in Showdown. I'm playing a bunch of Showdown lineups, so I'm sure that both QBs are in one of those lineups, yeah. Max scoring a TD, potentially. When you say defenses are the best plays of the slate, does that mean at least one in all Showdown lineups? Yeah, I would want at least one, if not both, in every single one of my lineups. They're the only player tonight that will play outside of the kicker, Quinn Norton, or whatever his name is. The defenders are the only player that will be on the field at every single point in the game. That obviously the defense is on the field for. Like, it's not like a wide receiver who's going to play 22% of the snaps and you're hoping that in the fourth quarter on his 2 targets he pays off for you. No, the defenses, and for the most part, the defenses get bonus points for leaving teams to less overall points. And teams don't really score in the preseason if you haven't paid attention. But even if they do, there's weaker protections, there's more turnovers because there's worse quarterbacks that come in, higher rates of interceptions, and even just 7 points out of a defense is going to probably be in a winning lineup, and that's a low button. Push the like button, fellas. I appreciate that, Smooth. Which Eagles QB gets the most playing time? I think they all see similar usage. I'm expecting around 30% of the snaps for all of them. If people play Joe Flacco at a high rate today, they're just playing themselves. Like, this is people that aren't paying attention. Joe Flacco succeeded last week because he got 7 points, more than that, 7.5, 8 points, off of a 89-yard touchdown screen pass to Quez Watkins that he threw behind the line of scrimmage, right? He threw it behind the line of scrimmage. He did absolutely nothing on that play, and he got more than half of his points. So, serious question, where are you leaning stack-wise? It's just going to be a mixture of 3-3 and 4-2s. Rarely do I go a lot of 5-1s. So 3-3 and 4-2s is going to be a mixture of, I'm not just pigeonholing into one. Do you like Rager or Watkins? I like Rager more than Watkins today. Thank you, bro. You're the fucking man. No, you're the fucking man. JJ Taylor or Wilkerson today. Both tier 2 options for me. So you say that Whiteside is the best wide receiver pick for Philadelphia. As of right now, I would say that there are 4 wide receiver picks that look very similar to me for Philadelphia. They're all very similar plays, similar tiered players. They're all ranked differently, but that's where I'm at on those guys. Didn't see what you had on Underdog, though, if you can go over that again. Okay, David, yeah, so hopefully you saw that when I went over it. Hopefully that helped. Who's the best kicker? It's going to be Quinn. I would go with Quinn. He's the kicker that's going to play the whole game. The other ones are probably going to split. Devonta Smith will play tonight. Yeah, that doesn't really change much for me. I think Devonta Smith, if he plays, is that official news that Devonta Smith will be playing tonight? I think that if Devonta Smith plays tonight, that he plays 5 snaps, runs 2 routes. But I'm currently not putting Devonta Smith in my tiers. I don't really think that he does anything if he actually plays tonight. I was not expecting him to play. I'm actually surprised that he is playing if that's the case. So yeah, they're saying that he's questionable. So if you're seeing that he's playing, if you're watching the TV broadcast, I'd expect Devonta Smith to play 6 snaps, run 2 to 3 routes. I'm not interested. Just a heads up, using the Caesar betting app, do not use your player points or the site freezes. Alrighty, thanks. Hurts or Dion DK, I'll take a defense. Wilkerson or Stevenson, I'll take Wilkerson. Any word on Hurts? He's going to play a quarter to a quarter and a half. Hasn't New England and Philly been in joint practice? If so, does that affect starters' playing time? I don't think it affects starters' playing time because joint practices are not real games. Like, joint practices are nowhere near the actual games. Like, they can do walkthroughs, but they're not going to be full-on tackling each other, right? They're not going to be full-on cutting and doing all this stuff in a practice. So Yeah, they've been joint practicing. A lot of the teams are going to be doing that this week. Stephon Diggs is in the chat. He says, who are your favorite 2 receivers? I think N'Keal Harry will score a TD today. For his sake, I hope he does. Yeah. M. Jones or Cam? I'll go Mac Jones. He's going to play more. My 2 favorite receivers today, Wilkerson and N'Keal Harry look solid, but I'm also just as interested in like Arcega-Whiteside and Greg Ward, but Wilkerson and N'Keal Harry are probably going to see the most usage. Mac or Arcega-Whiteside? Probably Mac. Arcega-Whiteside has more upside if you're talking about captains, but if you're just talking about a safe flex play, Mac. Mac's going to play 50 to 60% of the snaps today. He's going to attempt 20-ish passes. He might have a little bit of mobility in him. Arcega-Whiteside's going to run routes, but he might see 2 or 3 targets. He has to pay those off. Should I play 100% Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, if you are a Patreon member, you get to play Aaron Rodgers on any single DFS football slate, including the ones he's not on. This is not true, but if you do indeed play him, you will be able to pick any performance that he had from his MVP season. This is a promotion that we ended up partnering with Draftkings. I'm lying, but if you indeed go ahead and do that, if you are a Patreon member as of today, so you can sign up right now, you'll be able to play Aaron Rodgers as a total. I don't believe me, but if you do, you get to put him in your lineup, and you can spot yourself like a 30-point performance, and that probably should be enough to win you the $50,000. 2 defenses and a kicker. A kicker, the optimal for cash, which nobody wants to play, so probably not. The problem with 2 defenses and a kicker is, one of those defenses might score 12, the other one might score 6, and a kicker might score 6. Like having 2 6s in your lineup isn't terrible, but unless the game's like 6-3 tonight, like if there's at least 2 touchdowns scored, you're going to need both of those touchdowns. Decent chance one of the quarterbacks is scoring close to 10 points. Decent chance that one of these running backs, J.J. Taylor, Kenny Gainwell with pass catching upsides, Huntley if he plays pass catching upsides, decent chance one of them catches 3 balls and has 6, 7, 8 points, right? So just by the amount of players, like if this was a regular season game, defenses aren't as important, but the fact that so many players are rotating in, it just allows for so many more skill sets, so many more, not just on offense, but defense, so many more chances for blown coverages. Like you saw in that San Francisco 49ers game, it wasn't really a blown coverage, the Trey Lance 80-yard touchdown, but the KJ Hamler one was, his 80-yard touchdown was basically a blown coverage. But the Trey Lance one was, Trey Lance threw a beautiful ball. He played terrible outside of that in the preseason game. Like people are jumping up and down trying to draft him higher. Like Trey Lance might not have been able to do any worse in that game. The 80-yard touchdown obviously helps, but he played 5 of 14. He had 2 massively interceptable passes. He looked very timid. He looked very concerned in the pocket. Obviously offensive line was crumbling around him. And then his ADP just continues to rise. Like it starts skyrocketing. I get Justin Fields, rushing touchdown, passing touchdown, was also not great in the first half. Second half looked solid, ended up leading them to a victory. So I get Justin Fields' ADP rising, but Trey Lance's ADP is now rising. He's the quarterback 10. He goes up like 4 spots just from his preseason performance where he really did nothing. The 80-yard touchdown, yes, but it was a wide open receiver that I would hope the 3rd overall pick can hit a wide open receiver with nobody within 8 yards of him. And that was because Kyle Shanahan schemed it perfectly. Robert Tonyan is in my lineup for sure. Yeah, I think Robert Tonyan's a solid option this year in fantasy. Would you play Gainwell in cash? Yep, he looks like a solid option. Which make a better captain in cash, Wilkerson or Gainwell? Gainwell for me. Is it okay to go 5-1 Patriots with Gainwell being the only Eagle? Sure. So which Eagles running back do you like? Kenny Gainwell. Huntley, if he plays, he'll be in my tiers as of right now, but Kenny Gainwell looks to be a solid option in my opinion. What do we got? Any other questions? I'm only going to stay on as long as we have questions for. We've only been live right now for 28. Yeah, we've been live for almost a half hour. I was planning on going live for, 30, 40 minutes at most. It's just a showdown slate for one game. The game starts in 50 minutes. We got a bunch of props in. Go ahead and use those promo codes to be able to actually take advantage of the props. You can use the code SAL on Prize Picks. Tail any of the props that we showed earlier. If you have any questions on props, let me know. If you're in the Discord, obviously, I see 3 messages. Let me answer these questions now that I'm seeing them live in the Discord. Tailing this, let's get the 600, says PMaj. Perfect. Hey, Sal, thanks for the shout out on the live stream. Yeah, watching the live stream. Underdog changed the lines. Still unders. So Underdog changed the lines to 40.5, but I'm still on the unders. All righty, cool. We got people. TJ's up in the chat. Yeah, so we got people doing this. Is Flacco better play than Hurts? Not to me. So I'm going to answer some Discord questions, and I'll get the YouTube ones as we get through them. FanDuel picks, Sal. Yeah, my man Jermaine Dorsey. I haven't played FanDuel in probably 3 years now, so I cannot help you over there. But for preseason-wise, preseason just comes down to usage. So everything I'm saying right now for the props and DraftKings is going to relate over on FanDuel. You're not looking at price. The price is all going to be the same, I assume, on FanDuel. It is on DraftKings. So everything I'm saying right now to you is the exact same. The players that I like on DraftKings are the exact same on FanDuel because there's no pricing differences. It's all the exact same price. Rager and N'Keal, both great options. I'll take N'Keal, more routes run. Patriots in the over, cash me outside. Cash me outside. So I don't have anything from the line for this game. I have bets for tomorrow's game in terms of the spreads. I ended up taking Washington at -3 when it opened. That is now luckily down to -5 as they announced that Joe Burrow will not be playing. And then I took the Chiefs at -1.5. So I took the Chiefs at I think 2 actually. It's now down to -3 because the Chiefs are expected to play their starters for the first half. But don't fall for that. You'll see in the video. They said that last week to play the whole first quarter, and Mahomes played 4 snaps, literally 1 drive, 3 and out. Sal, can you give me the Patreon link, please? Yeah, Justin Harris, I'll put it in the chat right now. So if anybody's interested in Patreon, you can sign up right there. There's a link to Patreon. If you're interested in the free $100 bet on Prize Picks or the free $25 on Underdog or both of those, let me know. They're both linked down below. So you don't really have to actually let me know. But if you are, what is this? I'm getting a payment to be sent for my credit card where I don't have that credit card anymore. So hopefully we're not getting hacked. You hacking me, somebody watching this? Mack and Hurts scoring a TD. I hope so. I mean, look, I want to see good football. I like the fact that we get to see Mac Jones again tonight. We get to see Jalen Hurts, a couple of quarterbacks that we want to know what they look like because we don't have a large sample. So it's fun that we get to watch them tonight for a quarter or more. Did you like N'Keal Harry over 18.5 receiving yards? I took him over 3.5 fantasy points. Cam under 4.7 fantasy points. It's a no bet for me, dog. It's a no bet for me. Favorite New England running back? Probably J.J. Taylor, more pass catching chops. Ramondre Stevenson only ran 8 routes last week. He only ran 8 routes last. Oh no, he only ran 3 routes. So Ramondre Stevenson only ran 3 routes last week. That's a concern. I mean, that is a major concern. That's a big concern. So you saw last week 16 routes run for Kenny Gainwell, 14 for J.J. Taylor, and then a massive drop off to just 3 for Ramondre Stevenson, 5 for Jason Huntley. So I mean, J.J. Taylor and Kenny Gainwell are the pass catching backs for each team tonight, unless you see James White play more snaps. James White ran 7 routes but unlimited snaps last week. JM says, Sal, thank you for your advice, and all those notes really help. Keep doing what you do, boss man. Guys, hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button if I appreciate that. I'm putting out a ton of videos on TikTok, 1 per day. I mean, I say a ton, but I'm spending 2 hours each morning creating a TikTok video. So follow me over there if you're not. But then the other thing is, check out the season-long videos. In terms of, I know you have a season-long draft coming up, if not multiple, like I do. In terms of running backs to avoid, guys you want to be drafting, a bunch of stuff. I have videos going out every day for that as well, on top of the preseason stuff. So it's the grind season right now. Any feedback that you guys have on those, feel free to leave them in the comments section. Can Jalen and Mack in play? Are Jalen and Mack in play? They're massively in play. I mean, I expect Mack to play at least 50% of the game. I expect Jalen to play about 30% of the game. I literally got a spam text message at the same time. Wow, interesting. That's weird. Justin says, thanks. No problem, man. Wilkerson or Gainwell? I'll take Gainwell. Like both a lot, though. The good old running joke for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, during the regular season, how many people do we have live right now? So for this showdown preseason game on a Thursday in the middle of the summer, we have 205 people live. Not bad. But during the regular season, when it's a showdown slate on a Monday or Thursday and there's 1,500 plus people in these live chats, and I say that, and Aaron Rodgers is on the slate, it's going to be absolute chaos. I'm going to have people being like, hey, refund me your Patreon. You said I was going to be able to get this. And then I'm going to be like, hey, I'll refund you because this is just funny. But run back the tape. And the tape will literally be like, hey, you should play Aaron Rodgers. You can put him in any one of your lineups. I'm lying to you right now. But, hey, you can still do it. It'd be funny. I'm waiting for that to happen. It hasn't happened yet. People are too smart. Mac Jones was throwing him up, and he was dropping him like Aguilar. Mac Jones was throwing him up and dropping him? What you mean? If you're playing only one lineup, are you playing a QB, Sal? If I'm playing only one lineup, am I playing a QB tonight? Yeah, I like the QBs. Is it risky playing no defense? I would say it's risky playing no defense, yes. Should I put J.J. Taylor or Wilkerson or captain? I like Taylor more for a captain option. Please no Hoyer tonight. He showed his true colors last year versus KC. I think Hoyer's going to play about a quarter tonight. Osmo's live now. Cool. All right. Can I see a sample of your player projections? Can I upload that CSV into a lineup builder that I use? No, I don't have any player projections for the preseason. I have player projections for the regular season, but there's no way you can project the preseason. If anybody's doing player projections for the preseason, like legitimate projections, I mean, they're just guessing. I know projections are an educated guess, but those are just inaccurate guesses. I don't think anybody's doing projections for the preseason, but if so, they're wrong. I can say that right now. I've tried to project the preseason, but when you're trying to project one game in the preseason where players have never all played together and never will again, likely, and those players are going to play 20% of the snaps, and you're hoping that they run 10 routes, and they're playing with a quarterback they never play with, there's no way to project that. You can try and project it from general game environments at general times during the season with general similarly skilled players, But what you're going to get is a massively 7 steps removed projection from what is actually happening on the field. You're taking all these generalities with no actually specific situation to what is happening. Then you factor in that neither of these teams care about winning and they're just trying to see specific things. So potentially, hey, I just want to see Mac Jones run the hurry up offense in the first quarter with 15 minutes, or the second quarter with 10 minutes left. Let's just run the hurry up offense here, which is totally different plays, which might be safer quick throws to the outside, right? This is all that goes into it. You can't project the preseason for points. You can project it. You can't accurately do it. Nowhere near. I meant for your regular season projections. Is it all together in the CSV file that I can download? The regular season projections come in an Excel file. Yes. They come in Excel file, projections, ownership, value. Yeah. Do you like Cam or Cam tonight? Cam or Cam? Should I play Usain Bolt at tight end? Of course. What about Jake Elliott? I'm not on him. If I'm playing a kicker, I'm playing the one that doesn't have competition tonight. Is playing 2 quarterbacks too brave? Probably. How many snaps do we expect for Wilkerson? Probably around 30. Any news on Huntley? The most recent news on Huntley that I saw was that he has not been ruled out today, but it's not sounding good. He hasn't practiced the last couple of days, and so far out of all the stuff that we've seen in the preseason, all the games last week, including the massive Saturday slate, the guys that weren't practicing the days leading up, they don't usually play. Thank you. No problem. Alrighty, gang. We've been live for about 36 minutes. I think I'm going to bounce. Is Underdog a new prop site you are using, or are you using it last season as well? Underdog is a best ball site. They just added props this offseason. So they're a best ball site. It's the site that we do our best ball drafts on every Friday. I'll be doing a live draft tomorrow. They have $1,001,000 to first place in best ball. And they just added props maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I didn't really play their props until the NFL. I played a couple in the NBA playoffs. But what I basically do is compare Prize Picks and Underdog. I mean, I'm just shopping the lines there. Prize Picks I like a lot. Underdog's best ball I like. But if they're going to offer me some other prices, like under 42.5, a 6-yard difference between them and Prize Picks for the Ramondre Stevenson, I'll take the under 42.5 because I like the under 36.5 on Prize Picks. Might as well get the under 42.5 as well. So yes, Underdog is where I do all my best ball drafts, which I need to be doing more of those. I want to try and max out the Mania before it closes. Sal's rankings are legit. Love his mentality on Zeke. Sal's rankings are legit. Love. Yeah, I got Zeke as my number 2 overall player in fantasy this year. I'm on DK, but watching Kayla Harrison kill someone will be much better TV tonight. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know who Kayla Harrison is. Any love for Zach or Dallas? I don't know who Zach or Dallas is. Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert? I'll take Ertz if you're going to pick one. He ran more routes last week. He saw more targets. This year in fantasy, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert are a lot closer than people think. And that sounds crazy because everybody's been anchored that Zach Ertz is leaving. But if he's on the field this year for them, 6 months ago, yeah, Dallas Goedert a top 10 tight end. Zach Ertz outside the top 25. Now, it's like Dallas Goedert my tight end 14 and Zach Ertz my tight end 22. It's a lot closer than people think. Underdog is legit. Yeah, Underdog Best Ball is the best ball platform. It's not even close. The mobile app for Underdog is one of the best apps I've ever used, let alone for fantasy drafts, and it blows every other fantasy draft out of the water. It's not even close. But the mobile app, the actual interface, it's so slick, it's so smooth. I've never had a bug with it. The exposures are fantastic that you can get exposures. It's great. Captain Harry, fuck the world. Appreciate you, Sal. Keep killing it. I appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah. All right, everybody. I think we're going to bounce. We've been live for about 40 minutes for a showdown slate in the preseason on a Thursday in August. You'll love to see it. If you're not already following me over on, you don't have to, honestly. But if you want to follow me over on the TikToks, I'm going to put the link in here right now. I'm assuming most people in here don't even have a TikTok. Sal, smile. We love you. Smile another time. Your best Eagles pick. Eagles defense. All right, everybody. Peace out. See you in the next one. The video for the 2-game slate will be out. Should I drop it tonight or tomorrow morning? I think I'll drop it tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. The video for the 2-game slate. It's already done. We'll drop it tomorrow morning. And yeah, that is that. Videos for the weekend slates. Season-long content coming out all week. We're 3 weeks away to the date from the NFL season starting. If I sign up on Underdog with your promo code, do we get access to the Patreon and Discord? No, you don't get access to the Patreon and Discord. That's a totally separate product. If you sign up on Underdog with my code, you get $25. So that's the benefit for you. If you sign up on Prize Picks with my code, your first bet is matched up to $100. So if you put $25 in and bet 25, you get 25. If you put 100 in and bet 100, you get 100 back. So those are the benefits you get. Patreon and Discord is a part of Patreon. So if you just sign up for it, you get that. If you sign up for Prize Picks with code SALNFL, you get that bonus up to $100 and my draft guide for free. So that's where you would get the draft guide for free. All that stuff is linked up down below. Yeah, what the fuck? Do you even post on TikTok? Yeah, I post on TikTok. I got now 14,000 followers on TikTok. I started posting a month ago, 28 days ago. And we're doing well over there. It appears that we are the number one fantasy based on the views, obviously not the followers since we just started over there, but we are the number one fantasy channel based on the views per episode. 105,000, 136,000, 353,000, 123,000. Today's is up to 46. Drop the video tomorrow. Yeah, I'll drop it in the morning. Too much stuff going out today. Already dropped a couple of videos today. Is Harry playing with Cam or Jones? Both, I would assume. Real quick, what is best ball? I'm interested now. Best ball, you don't set your lineup. You just draft 18 rounds on underdog. No kickers, no defenses. And each week it'll choose the 2 highest at each position. Flex, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a quarterback, and you go from there. And there's $1 million and $1 to first place. It's fantastic. Longtime follower finally got Sal to read a comment. I may mess around and win first. No question. The underdog app is 100 for sure. For the win, not what you said. Oh, got you. I asked what you posted on TikTok. Oh, fantasy stuff. You can just follow that link. It's been fantasy stuff. I've been posting 3, 6, 9. I don't know. It's been about a month. I started posting 1 video per day 3 weeks to a month ago. I had no followers. Now we have 14,000. I don't know what I'm doing over there. I just know that 10 years ago, nobody knew what they were doing on YouTube. And now if you started YouTube 10 years ago and were consistent with good content, you're in a very good position. So figured might as well spend an hour a day, hour and a half a morning when I have the time, which has been basically every day, make a TikTok. Because right now, nobody really knows. People are making fun of it. It's just a bunch of kids we've made some money on it so far in 3 weeks. And from the views that we're getting and the interaction that we're getting, a lot more people know my name at this point. And even if that's all that comes out of this, a lot more people know my name. They go over to the YouTube channel. So I think it's beneficial. Like there's a lot of companies in this space right now that aren't on TikTok. Or if they are, they're doing what everybody else does. They're opening up their phone. They're dancing. They're saying one thing and they're pointing to the camera. It's not quality content. There's no connection between you and your audience. When I put out a piece of content on YouTube or on Twitter, or not Twitter, unless I type something, but on YouTube or on TikTok, the places where I'm putting out my content, podcast, same thing as YouTube, the goal is that is a quality piece of content that people are seeking value from, but we're also making some sort of connection, whether that is the connection of trust, that you trust that I'm bringing forward information that I am a trustworthy source for you, whether it's entertainment sometimes because I just say some wild shit. I have to get back to the national calendar days. I haven't been looking at them myself the last couple of weeks. I don't use TikTok, but it's a great platform to get popularity on other platforms. Yeah, I think so. And I think that it could be a potentially destination platform in a couple of years, if not a year or two. Alrighty, peace out, gang. I appreciate you a ton. And I'll see you in the next one. We'll be potentially live tomorrow night. Depends on what my plans are. Might not go live for 2 games later on a Friday during the preseason. Shoot me. See you in the next one.